And we are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. So, as we discussed last week, during the holidays and with the new year coming, there's not that much news. The news cycle dies down a lot. Companies don't put much things out there, and people are on vacation and everything. So there's not that much news coming out. But we have still a few news items that we want to discuss today. But then we're going to spend probably the majority of the show just basically sharing our thoughts on the year for electric vehicle 2022. How was it? The highlights and whatnot, and then move into what do we expect or hope for the EV industry in 2023. And we hope for it to be interactive, so that's why we're gonna keep it for the later half of the show. Let sometimes for people to come in. But if you guys have any question for us regarding those subjects, just put them in the comment section right now. We are live, and same thing goes for if you have specific subjects that you want to discuss, especially looking into 2023, or even just reminiscing on the year. But a few news item kind of still this week that was notable. Tesla finally releasing a production rate for the 4680 battery cell. So that's big. That's especially looking into 2023. Speaking of, uh, the 4680 is going to become a bigger storyline for Tesla. It's going to support more of Tesla's growth in terms of vehicle production. And this is the first time that they're making battery cells, and they've been keeping the data very close to their chest. Haven't been releasing much. We knew from the fact that Tesla switched a lot of the production from the Model Y in Gigafactory Texas from the 4680 to going back to the 2170. We knew that it wasn't going great because of that. But Tesla never released actual. They just said, "Oh yeah, of course, it's early in the production. We're gonna have some bottlenecks and whatnot." But they kept saying that we're working through them. They didn't seem to be too worried about it. But like, that's what the company does. Really, they don't want to set any panic into like, "Hey, this program is actually failing right now." But the only thing that they released is it was in February of this year, so almost a year ago at this point, that they said that they produced their first million cell at the pilot plant in Fremont. But like that was a million to date, so that doesn't give us anything about the production rate. In between now, then and now, they did say a few things about, oh, we increased the output by whatever percentage from last quarter and whatnot. But again, we never knew what the first output was in the first place. So they might have went from 3 cell to 9 cell. That's a 300% increase, but that's not that impressive. So now for the first time, they confirmed that they produced 868,000 cells in a 7-day period. So they have a production capacity of over 800,000 cells over 7 days, and 800,000 cells is good enough for over 1,000 cars. Presumably, the Model Y. It's not a standard range they call it, but whatever the medium version, basically they were producing at the Gigafactory Texas. So yeah, I mean, in February they had a million cell. Now they can basically produce that in a week, like a week and a half, and they have over a million cells. So that's good. Though 1,000 car, good for 1,000 car, is still not significant, obviously. But at least going into 2023, it shows that Tesla is able to produce it in decent volume, and hopefully they can get that to over 5,000 cars by sometimes next year.
Any other manufacturer, that'd be a big deal. Like, Chevrolet is going to make 77,000 bolts next year.
Yeah.
Like they could fill up all those bolts with 4680s, but Tesla just makes so many more cars that's not.
Or if you compare it to a battery startup, like if like QuantumScape right now was producing enough cells to build 1,000 cars right now, they would be like giant news. But since it's Tesla, and we don't see it like that as much. But obviously, QuantumScape would be a different deal because they would be producing enough solid state cells to 2,000 cars, and that's we're nowhere near that yet in the solid state market. Maybe something to discuss later on when we talk into 2023 if we think that solid state will finally play a part in the EV landscape. Breaking news that just came out a few hours ago. I have a source that confirmed that Tesla, for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, they're offering a $7,500 discount on the Model S and X. So we reported on a bunch of discounts that came out from Tesla this month in the US, but they were mostly for Model 3 and Model Y. There was the 10,000 free supercharging miles that was for all cars, but there was no direct discount on the Model S and X. And for the Model 3 and Y, there was the 3,750 discount, and there was a full 7,500 discount. And we noted that those were kind of compensating for the federal tax credit coming in effect next month, and they were the same amount that Tesla could have received from that, based on later on when the battery requirement was pushed back to March. Tesla was expected to get the full credit, and then shortly after, Tesla offered the full credit. But now Model S and X is different, because Model X and X were never going to receive the credit at all, because they are way too expensive. They start at $105,000. The limit is $80,000, and that's for SUVs. And so only the Model X would apply, not even the Model S. So this is clearly like a demand issue type of thing. Now, not that big of a deal, obviously, because there's 2 days left in the quarter, and Tesla just want to kill their inventory, basically. So it's going to affect some car. But if you are in the market for a Model S and X, or Model S or Model X right now in the US, that's probably your best deal that you're going to get, in my opinion, because it's not like you can expect to have any kind of incentive coming.
Is that for like the floor models and test vehicles as well, or is that just new cars?
I would assume that it's for everything.
Interesting.
It's
That
for
could be
what
a
my
big
source told me
discount.
is that everything that's a new order place right now that you can take delivery by basically tomorrow night, I guess, because they want it to be by the end of the quarter. Oh, our top comment. It's about the end of quarter push. Yeah, we're going to get into that too. We have something about that also. Oh, Tesla has been very generous with sharing data lately. We had the data point of the battery cells, and now we have, for the first time, Tesla confirming how many people bought full self-driving package. Sort of. The exact phrasing was they said that it was part of their, like, all their achievement, all the milestone that they achieved in 2022. They released like a series, a thread on Twitter about that, and part of most of it was like everything that we already knew and we reported on as it happened. But enable anyone in North America who has purchased FSD to request FSD beta, so we knew about that. And then Tesla had reaching 285,000 vehicles. So now there's a few ways to interpret that. So it either means that 285,000 people bought FSD beta. Well, I mean, it at least means that. It means that at least 285,000 people bought FSD in North America. Now, you could also interpret it as, because now everyone can request FSD beta if you bought it. So it might be 285,000 people that requested FSD beta.
Right.
It's not clear from the phrasing. Like, obviously it's a Twitter thread, and so the economy of words and whatnot, like characters, really. So it's one of the other, but at the very least, it confirms that 285,000 people in North America bought FSD beta, and
or a subscription to it.
Yeah, they made no mention of subscription. How many people do you think actually subscribe to that thing? Like, that's like, it's so useless right now. Like I get buying it with the hope that it's gonna get better in the future, but buying it right now to test it, like you're paying $200 a month to beta test something, like that makes
something
no
that's
sense.
Not great.
Yeah, makes no sense to me. I'd be surprised if there's any significant amount of people that are subscribing to FSD right now. But 285,000 people likely bought it. And so we tried to figure out the take rate, but it's hard because it's hard to confirm exactly how many cars are in North America right now that have FSD. So it's at some point in 2016. So it's every car delivered in North America at some point 2016. I estimate that it's at least 1.5 million. It might be a little bit more than that, by a few 100,000 max, I would think. So it would give it, if we take the 1.5 million number, it would give a take rate for a full self-driving package of 19%, which is actually higher than I would have thought. But again, there might be a few more vehicles to that, so it might be closer to like 15%, which I think would make a little bit more sense in my opinion. But still, I mean, if you take 285,000 people and you multiply that by let's say 8,000. It's 15,000 right now, but obviously it changed a lot over the years. 8,000 might be low as an average because Tesla obviously delivered a lot more car lately, and lately it's been between $10,000 and $15,000. So it likely pushed the average a little bit higher, but there's again no way to know that. It would be over $2 billion in revenue just in FSD for Tesla. Of course, they're not declaring all that revenue yet. They are deferring it because they haven't actually delivered on everything. But we discussed a few weeks ago, remember, like with the lawsuits coming in and potentially the new hardware retrofit and all that, like how expensive it would be if they have to reimburse people who do the retrofit like this. When I say that it's going to be in the billions of dollars if it's a recall, like you have it right here. Like this is a
All right, lawyers.
yeah.
This is your notice. Billions of dollars.
Oh, don't say that.
Honestly.
I see them salivating. Like,
I know.
oh, okay, this is a $2 billion class action potentially right now. Ooh. I'm not saying that that's what's gonna happen, but it's like in terms
Well,
of
it would be nice if Tesla just went ahead and said, "Hey, we're worth, hundreds of billions of dollars. Maybe 2 billion to our best customers isn't, a voluntary return."
yeah, reimbursement. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a black eye on Tesla for not offering that really, because just for the fact that they've been late on this program, that they promised things and didn't deliver, and they keep moving the goalposts. They should at least say, like, if you're not happy about it, we understand. We screwed up. You should get your money back. And then a lot of people won't even do that. So it wouldn't be $2 billion that they would have to give back, but it would be a goodwill at least. All right. The IRS this week, they updated their list of vehicles eligible to the federal tax credit following the deferral of the requirement, the battery sourcing requirements. So now we have a little bit more details. So starting with Tesla, there's a little bit of a surprise. So obviously Model S and X not in there, not a surprise. But okay, Model 3 rear-wheel drive makes sense. Model 3 long range though, let me see Model 3 long. I forgot to check real quick, but does it start at 55? Not being much.
That sounds about right around where it starts.
Oh yeah, it's not even available to order right now. That's right. I forgot. So yeah, there's they don't even put the price in right now. So I would assume that the price would be under 55. Like they inform, because the Tesla had to file some paperwork. So I assume that they are bringing the price down to 55. I kind of want to say that it was over 55 before.
Wait, you can't buy a Model 3 right now?
Not a long range one. You cannot order it.
Oh,
yeah,
weird.
Yeah, it's been like that for a little bit.
Probably the more interesting thing is the Model Y, and
yeah,
the 7-seat variants are the only ones that get the limits up to $80,000. So
well, it's that it doesn't make sense the way that they put the limit, because they put the Model Y in there that don't have the 5-seat too, so they are in there, but they are in there with the $55,000 price limit, which is it is not 55. Let me see how much it is. It makes no sense. Like there's a lot of inconsistencies in the IRS's. So it starts at $66,000, but it's in there as if it's eligible, but at 50 with the 55 limit. But how are you going to get the 55 limit if it's not offered? So unless Tesla signal that they're going to do something about that, maybe reduce the price or whatever, I don't know. I'd be surprised about that, because I think Tesla was expecting to get the 80,000, but like Seth said, it's only in the 7 seats limit.
What's kind of funny is the third row is a $3,000 option.
Mm-hmm.
So you could get the third row and qualify for the $7,500.
Yeah. Yeah, because you cannot get unless you go with even with the performance one. I don't think you get past 80 with third. Oh, no, you cannot get a third row. That's the other thing too. Yeah, the performance third row is in there, but I don't think you can get a third row with the performance one. Yeah, you cannot. there's a lot of things that don't make sense in this. It just doesn't make sense. Jamie had a theory about this. He said that it might be related to the weight of the car, not actually the 7 seat. So if you pass the 6,000 mark, then maybe they consider you an SUV, and then you get the $80,000 price limit, and that could explain this. Because the other thing is that the ID4, so we can get into all the vehicles too, because Scooter did a post about it.
All the ones that have done the paperwork.
Yeah.
Some companies haven't done the paperwork yet.
Yeah.
Slackers.
Yeah. GM.
Yep.
And we have on the list is like, okay, there you go. And the ID4 does qualify, and the ID4 doesn't have a 7-seat, so it cannot be this. It cannot be related to the 7-seat, and it is a little bit heavier, the ID4, than the Model Y. It comes in at just over 6,000 pounds, so that might explain the whole thing.
And then the third row seat, which probably weighs, I don't know what, 100 pounds or 200. I don't know what a third row would weigh, but with all the mechanics and stuff, probably a couple 100 pounds pushes it over 6,000.
So Tesla is basically incentivized right now to make their Model Y heavier.
Yeah, just put a big brick in the back or something.
Yeah,
like
it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I would expect things to change a little bit, but right now, for now, like, you have to just follow the website. So if you are expecting in your budget to get the federal tax credit, I would go with the website. But I'm pretty sure it's going to evolve in the next few months, so we're going to keep a close eye on it. And most likely going to change a lot in March when they do release the guidance about battery sourcing, battery material sourcing, battery component making, and all that. There's another one here that I didn't put in there, though I should have, is the one of the other change in the IRS this week that they did is that they opened the door for people to get access to the incentive if they buy. Well, it's not buying a car, I guess. If they get a car through a commercial lease, so a business lease, they could get access to the tax credit, even though the car is not made in North America, which is kind of a weird loophole. But there's a bunch of people that are interpreting the update in the IRS filings this week like that. Now, it would be surprising if that's actually the case, but for now, there's a possibility to interpret it like that. Just putting that out there. It would be a big change, but at the same time, it could make sense because the US has been getting a lot of pressure right now internationally from Europe and Asia about the fact, like in Europe, a lot of places that do have incentive electric vehicles don't care where the electric vehicle is made. They just, because it does make sense to a degree. Like if the idea behind the incentive is to convince people to go electric over gasoline, and the goal is to burn less gas, well, the provenance of the vehicle does not matter for that. So the US, it's both an incentive to accelerate EV adoption and also to encourage production in the US, and they've been extremely successful in doing that already. There's a bunch of companies that have announced major investment into EV production in the US. It kind of already did its job before it's even in place, really. So you could technically open it up, really, and be like, hey, you can actually open it up to vehicles built in other countries. It's just that people already invested a ton of money in building them in the US now. So
yeah, I mean, that's one of the big themes of 2022 is like that IRA plan got everybody to want to build factories and battery factories, car factories and battery factories in the US. I don't think I've ever seen so many companies announce US plants.
And not just the US, in Canada and Mexico too, because North America counts for it. Yeah, that was definitely a giant storyline for the year. Like basically every other week, there was a major announcement about a battery factory or vehicle factory.
Yep.
All right, our last piece of news that we're going to discuss before getting into it. And please put your comments in the comment section right now for us to discuss any subject related to EV in 2022 and looking forward into 2023. We got an email from Elon Musk this week where it was the usual end of the quarter push email where he says, I mean, he always says the same thing. He always uses the words all out. Let's go all out. So he told employees to go all out for the end of the quarter where Tesla is trying to push deliveries. And obviously, we reported a lot on that lately with the discounts and then selling the display model and the test drive model and all that. So he pushes employees to do that. Thanks the employees for the hard work. Uh, but then he added something about please don't be too bothered by stock market craziness as we demonstrate consider excellent performance. The market will recognize that. So he's basically telling people not to worry about the stock price crashing, which is kind of ironic because in the line before that, he says, let's go all out for the end of the quarter. And the only reason that they go all out for the end of the quarter is for the stock price and the stock market, like because Wall Street is so doesn't look into the future and goes quarter to quarter. And Elon himself admit that it's super inefficient to do these end of the quarter pushes like that. Instead, they should try to manage the deliveries throughout the quarter. But because they need to have as low inventory as possible in the quarter for it to look good on the balance sheet, they do these in a quarter push. So that's kind of ironic. And then he asked against people to volunteer to help with deliveries on their off times during the holidays. He's asking a lot of these people.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense at this point. Like, I know the stock price is down,
Mhm,
but like we know that they do this thing at the end of every quarter and they get rid of like a bunch of extra
mhm,
inventory just to get their numbers up that extra few percentage points. Like, we know that happens. Why do we have to go through this charade every quarter? It just seems kind of silly. And Jamie and you guys, I know we're talking about
mhm,
this in the Slack room.
mhm,
Like, the the cars that go on sale next year, the federal government's going to give $7,500 uh, to a lot of the customers that are buying those. Like, why sell them now? Like, why not? Why give? They're giving customers $7,500 off the price. If they wait 2 days,
mhm.
they can get the government will give them $7,500, and they can sell it for the same price that they were originally planning to.
Yeah,
So
it's that big of a difference that it makes on the balance sheet if they have the car in inventory, if they paid like because Tesla pays for all those cars to be made, so it's
yeah,
like it looks really bad,
I
and
guess
they're willing to give that money instead of the government giving it just for that.
crazy.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, and there's also something like so we haven't talked about that enough probably, but we've talked a lot about Tesla's stock price, obviously, but it doesn't just affect like regular investors. It affects Tesla employees a lot too, because a lot of Tesla's uh, compensation is attached to stock options for employees, and that's something that Elon has even bragged about several times, especially when there was union pushes at the Fremont factory. They're like, yeah, every employee is a stockholder here because everyone gets stock option, and also we give when people were complaining that the pay at Fremont factory wasn't very good, especially compared to other automakers, especially compared to the fact that most of the automakers build in the south and build in Michigan and things like that, where the cost of life is much less expensive than in the Bay Area. So if you get paid $20 an hour in Fremont, you don't live the same if you get paid $20 an hour in Tennessee, though cost in Tennessee has increased a lot too lately. But you get my point. So he's used that saying that actually they get paid more than any other automotive workers because they all still get stock options. But the stock options are not worth that much if the stock is falling, like free falling, like it has been all year. So there's something a bit wrong that feels wrong when a billionaire CEO tells the employee, don't worry about the stock crashing right now, when he's a big part of the reason why the stock is crashing because he's been selling tens of billions of dollars worth of it all year. And then there's the Twitter stuff, like you cannot quantify it, but whatever. And he's telling people, don't worry about it, even though he's going to be okay, obviously, and he's the reason for it. So I feel like I could understand that the employees would be actually worrying about it. Like this is this is not if especially if it's a big part of your compensation plan. And then yeah, in the same breath, he asks you to volunteer to go get deliveries too. Um, that's that. If we get into we can get into the stories into 2022 and 2023. But that's one for me regarding Tesla, because obviously I focus on Tesla in my reporting. But I want to see Tesla stick to the mission, because if employees are volunteering right now during the holidays on their time off to go help with deliveries, they're not doing it because they love Elon Musk. They're doing it because of the mission. Like, they are the true believers in Tesla's mission to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy and transport. And
It's not for Oculus?
for Oculus,
Or sorry, the robot with the
Optimus.
Optimus, sorry.
I was like,
Again,
Oculus.
it's getting a little late in the year.
They're giving out free VR headset or
That
something.
would be nice.
Yeah. Um,
Backseat.
yeah. So I want to see Tesla in 2023 stick to its mission, like focus, like especially the leadership, obviously, because Tesla is delivering on it. They are delivering a lot of cars, and that's probably the biggest story in 2022. I would say is the growth in volumes. The growth in volumes and the growth in market share in EVs, because and that's not just because of EV volumes. That's because gas vehicle sales have been going down, and they have been down since the COVID really changed the game, because everything went down during COVID, and then people thought like it would come back. But for the automotive market, it came back through EVs. Like, people just switched to EVs, especially with then this year the big change too was also Russia invading Ukraine and the price of gas shooting up. That was also a giant story in the EV industry. And the COVID aspect came in 2020, and then 2022, the gas prices. These two combination like were big inflation point, I think, to convince people that EVs are the future. And I would like to see Tesla leadership just come back to the original mission, instead of whatever distraction of the moment is when it comes to Elon Musk. That would be a big one for me.
Yeah, it would be nice if Tesla could separate itself from the right wing tweets and stuff. I mean, he's currently saying Greta Thunberg is cool, so at least he still has that like
Yeah, but
green.
he doesn't think she's cool because of her environmental activism. She probably thinks she's cool because she had this zinger this week
Couple of them, yeah,
on
Like,
Andrew Tate is his name, whatever.
yeah, uh,
Like,
yeah.
she used Twitter for it too, so he was like,
Right,
"Oh,
yeah,
that's
that's money.
yeah." It's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
obvious too, right? That was like that's what's really attracting her him to her. Like, it's not even he's never talking these days about any kind of you used to like it. I remember the Elon that did the presentation at the Paris
right.
environmental was it COP whatever, COP 18, whatever it was.
He was 20 something, but yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
No, that was before that. That was in the COP 21. It was I don't remember which, but was the big when the Paris Agreement was signed. Basically, I think that he did the presentation. Like, he was like a true environmentalist back then. Now he's like, I mean, we should drill more oil, and then
Have a lot
now,
of kids.
yeah. Which, I mean, no one is arguing that we stop oil production right now. Like, everyone know what would happen. Like, if I shouldn't say everyone, because there are definitely some hardcore environmentalists that just don't understand how the world works, and they think that would be a solution. But like, yes, environmental disaster can completely annihilate the human population, but there's other things that can annihilate human population too, and stopping oil production right now would be one of them. So, but most people that understand how the world works like know that. So, but still, so you don't really need to like argue for more oil production, and especially the CEO of Tesla doing it is just, it looks bad. It sends the wrong message. So I would like Elon to come back to sending the right message, really. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, the other option, I guess, would be like just to divorce himself from Tesla and, you know, like, hey, you can be a board member
Mm,
and you can come up with some neat ideas, but like, just you can have your crazy Twitter scene and other people can run Tesla and be the face of Tesla
yeah,
and the PR can go through like normal channels instead of going
yeah.
through a Twitter account. And that thing really bothers me. Like he hijacked Tesla's like internal and external communications and made it all go through his
Hmm.
Twitter account. Like I probably wouldn't even follow Elon if like the Tesla
Hmm.
news didn't come uh through that.
And there's
And
not much these days that can do that too.
right, well it's just like the
Mm,
signal to noise ratio is like nothing, like 0.01. Um it's like very selfish. Like
mm.
this is a company with like 10,000 or 100,000 employees uh that really needs to like communicate to the public. Um Everything shouldn't have to go in and out through your Twitter account. That's crappy. And it's an exciting company and it's a company that's changing the world, but it's not Elon Musk's, third job or whatever. So that's a real disappointing thing. And I hope that's something that, Tesla Twitter
Mhm.
account starts operating again. Tesla
Well,
can.
they do. I actually seen the Twitter being a little bit more active lately, and I've seen even the blogs a little bit
For
more
sure.
blogs.
Yeah,
So I think that's related to, I think someone at Tesla actually like woke up and like, I think we need a little bit more of our own communication than just be. But I think there needs to be more than that, obviously, because what pisses me off the most, really, other than again like Elon just not not putting Tesla's mission first, is actually that Tesla, the board, is not doing anything to just reining him in the way that they would do for any other employees. Like if any other executive at Tesla would be tweeting the nonsense that he's tweeting right now, and I'm not talking about like the free speech stuff, and I'm talking about like insulting people online. Like this week there was, I don't know, I don't even know who he did that to, but I don't care. Like he said someone had like small testicle or something. Like if you have an executive of your company that's have a prominent Twitter account. So when he tweets something, it goes out to a lot of people, and he tweets shit like that. You have to like reach out to him and be like, hey, that's not cool. Like you're an executive of our company. You represent a company at the public. You shouldn't comport yourself. You should behave in a way that is respectable and not tweet things like that. And he had a bunch of those lately that if it was any other employees at Tesla, they would be reprimanded. And as far as I know, the board hasn't done any of that for
no,
Elon.
no.
Uh,
The board's all in his pocket anyway.
yeah,
We know that.
yeah. That's the other part that's disappointing. Like Elon has been disappointing for a little bit, obviously for us that have been following closely and haven't been blinded by the cult for a while. But now I'm pushing some of the blame to Tesla's broader Tesla and the Tesla board really for not doing anything because I don't even know what they're thinking because they are sensible people on there. I mean, he literally has his brother on the board and whatnot. Like obviously, I'm not thinking like, I'm not putting all my money on Kimball reigning, especially he's his little brother. So if it was a bigger brother, maybe it's like, hey, how about you chill a little bit or something. But anyway, eh, I would, yeah, I lost some respect for the people on there that are not just speaking out, and I don't know what they're thinking. Are they thinking like, oh, it's a phase and it's gonna turn around at some point, and maybe it will, but it's a phase that if you've been following closely, we saw it coming from a long time. Like, I mean, I come back to my article from 2020 where I said that the super fandom is corrupting Elon's feedback loop. Like, I think. I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit. I
Yeah.
think I called it on this one. I think the feedback loop has broken, and um, I think you're the one who sent me that the Elon alerts thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting because this account follow what Elon likes on Twitter, and that's fascinating because you see him like a bunch of tweets that are just people praising him like nonstop, like all day long. Like I'm sure if I look like that, I open my phone. Yeah, sure enough, I have can I show it? There's nothing sensitive information on this. Like, so I have my feedback, and every time I look at my phone, I have a notification, and one of them is going to be from the Elon's alert, and I click on Elon's alert right now. Uh, okay, at least it's not praising him. It's about Tesla. But I decided today that once I receive my Cybertruck, I will immediately do a road trip all across the United States and document it on Twitter. Okay. Who cares? How about you deliver the truck about that? Like, I
Yeah, that's a
have a
big if,
ton.
I guess.
I have a ton of plans too for my Cybertruck and my Roadster that I'm not sharing with anyone until I know that I can have them. Uh, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I saw
Yeah.
that was. Yeah, go ahead, Sid.
No, I was just it's just yeah, the Twitter thing is, and it's a distraction for us because we'd rather be talking about electric cars
Oh
and
yeah.
getting more green infrastructure and there's a lot of cool things like I kind of want to change the subject because we can probably talk about Twitter all day, but like one of the things that we really started talking about is vehicle to load
Mm-hmm.
and the Ford F-150 getting kind of like the ability to kind of power a house for multiple days. And actually, Ford gave us an F-150 to try it out, and it worked really well. It's called Ford Pro Power. And then it's also in the Hyundai EGMP platform. Those cars can put out about 2 kilowatts. That can back up a small house for a little while, or it can power a work site or do some camping stuff. So those are all cool things. Where's Tesla on that? Like
Mm-hmm.
they know how to do backup batteries. um I understand like hey, they have another product called the Powerwall, but like maybe not everybody wants to buy a Powerwall. Maybe having the car power the house in the 1 or 2 times a year that your power goes out makes a lot more sense. And the fact that Tesla's getting beat in this area and people are buying cars that do this rather than Teslas is something, right now it's not a big deal, but as more and more manufacturers get on board with this, Volkswagen's ID4 is eventually going to be able to do this, according to Volkswagen, but they're not really great with software, so it's been a lot slower than they've told us. But once every car can do this and Teslas can't, like that's going to be kind of a I don't know. It'll if I'm on the fence between Tesla and another car, and the other car can power my house during a power outage, they're going to lose.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it right now. I'm thinking Tesla will never go vehicle to home, vehicle to grid.
Really?
I think they will go. They will be output, energy output that you can plug directly into the car, but they will be more about like using outside the home, like powering work stuff, power tools, and all that.
And
I
then
don't think
is that
uh,
just because of the Powerwall business?
partly about the Powerwall business. It's just about because let's be honest, um, those things are good, like the Ford and everything for power outages and stuff like that. That makes sense. They are like lifesaver and that stuff, and that's a great feature, and it should exist for sure. But I think when it comes to the Powerwall and when it comes to Tesla's view of energy inside the home. They have a little bit bigger vision in terms of like they want to be an energy retailer. We saw it with Tesla Electric launch a few weeks ago. They
Hmm.
want to be an energy retailer, and for that, the vehicle to grid doesn't work very well. It's not it's not ideal to use your car for that because it's a lot more frequent and it's all the time really. So I think Tesla is really pushing for Powerwall and solar when it comes to that. I think that's going to be the way to go for Tesla. That's the way they see it. What really I think would be the ideal solution for that, personally, would because here's one thing we don't know, unless that changed recently and I missed it. But do we know how much the Ford Pro Power stuff costs at the home to install?
So two things about that. One is like if you have the Sunrun, uh,
Invert, but it's not even
yeah,
you don't make the
yeah, it's like
inverters.
a setup. It's like a certain cost, and I think it's like $5,000 extra, along with having everything else. But the Ford Pro Power will put out 250, uh, and at 10 kilowatts, 250 volts or 240 volts. So you can just get a generator. Like if you have a generator outlet in your house,
Mhm.
you can, for the price of a cord, plug in your car to your home and run everything your generator would run. So you really, I mean, it won't flip over automatically like a Powerwall
Mhm.
will, or like the Sunrun solution will. And that is cool, and that's worth extra money. But
A lot of extra money we are hearing though, like
yeah,
thousands of dollars.
right. So for the price of a cord, you're basically able to go out to your house or go out to your truck, plug it into the generator port, and your house is back online.
Mhm.
And when the house goes back online, you just unplug it and go. So for me, that's a lot of value. Like, people pay tens of thousands of dollars for generator setups that can power their house for days. But you have that in every single electric
Mhm.
vehicle out there. My dinky little Chevy Bolt with its 65 kilowatt hour battery pack can run my house for multiple days.
Mhm.
So I don't know why this isn't a big thing, that because inverters aren't expensive. Like, you can get an inverter, at Amazon for $100 that'll put out uh, a kilowatt or two peak. So build that into a car. It's got to be better, for bumps, and it's got to be way you know burlier. But like, for $1,000 option to have a 240-volt outlet in your car, that would be a no brainer. And it's not like, it would be super easy to set up. It's
Yeah.
just it's to me, it's frustrating that it's just Ford and
Hyundai.
Hyundai right now.
Yeah, my idea was like, and I'm putting it out there. If anyone wants to steal my idea and do it, go for it. Is the perfect product for that would be a product that okay, so it's maybe it doesn't need to be as powerful or energy dense as a Powerwall, but you have some energy capacity in there. You have like it could cover for because most of the power outages are short term, like, relatively
Right.
short term. So just to cover you for like if like the hour that or 2 hours. That it, like I had a bunch lately this over the last week, especially during the big storm. I, my power would go down like 3 times in a day, but only for like 10 minutes at a time or something. So you could cover something like that. So a small battery, but in the device you have the battery pack for that. You have an inverter, and you have a EV charging station for bidirectional charging. So you have basically a bidirectional charger with a battery pack connected to it, and then you can isolate the home on that, so you can switch back and forth from you can island your home basically and for a short period of time. And then if you need like if something happens and it's going to be like a few days without power, then you can plug your car into it and then grab the energy from your car to power your home. I think that would be like the idea. Like it would be definitely a more expensive device, but it would be worth it because you at least you get some energy capacity where you don't need to necessarily use your car when you don't have to, and you can use your car if it's for an extended period of time, and you can even maybe do something like a DC fast charging on it, like a quick DC fast charging if it's a even if it's just like 10-15 kilowatt, whatever it is. uh, you can power that real quick if you have to. It can be useful every now and again.
So how big would the battery be, like kilowatts
Yeah,
hours?
that's what I'm saying. I'm probably 10
10
would
kilowatt
be,
hours.
yeah, because 10 would cover like most vast majority of power outages.
Right.
So let's
Yeah, that
do
would
that.
be.
Someone like what's the like the Tesla engineers that went and did the electrical panel thing? Smart
So
SPAN
so that
span.
guy I've been talking to, evextend.com, uh, he has a product like that, actually.
Hmm. Really?
So the cheap one, um, is the
Can
like
you
he's
share
got
that? Can you share the page? I want to see.
yeah, so I'll send it through Slack.
Uh,
We're just doing a little back channel stuff now, guys. Don't be No big deal. Uh, but our friend,
oh, okay, no, no, okay, you show it to me. Yeah, yeah, I cannot remember. Yeah, but something that looks good.
so yes, it needs a little bit of but it's like a small Powerwall, really,
Yeah, I can
and
show
uh,
it to the
and
people
it's
as well.
$3,000, so you're saving some money. Here, I'll put that on there. So that's basically just two marine cycle, like heavy duty batteries, 24 uh, volts, going into a big inverter and powers the house while it's offline. And it looks like it's around $3,000 to $4,000 for something like that. And that's in addition to your Chevy Bolt or Nissan Leaf, sending power into that system. So, when you have like the big spikes with your air conditioner or your refrigerator, this thing can kind of handle those things.
Hmm.
Um, so, I mean, those are the options out there. I think that makes sense. Your product makes a lot of sense,
Hmm.
but 10 kilowatts is pretty expensive. I mean, Tesla's charging how much
Yeah.
for power walls? That's
No,
not.
it's gonna be not cheap, but if it's a charger, I mean, at the same time, a vehicle charger,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, that's you just save $1,000 with the installation right there, and 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 then at the same time, it's like if it can be like an inverter too for your solar system or something like that, that can be. You can combine a lot of these things together. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see more of that. All right, should we get into some questions and then talk about because I think a lot of them are related to the subject of.
Sure. So first of all, sorry some of you missed it because the Moscow, Idaho, USA quadruple murder thing has happened. Thanks, Dan, for clarifying that.
That's why our views are down.
Yeah, it's only 69 viewers right now. I want to start and say that the IRA SUV classification makes no sense. So everyone who waited for the 2023 EV tax credit are all getting third row Model Y now. We talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, he's
You know
right.
what I was thinking though? Instead of the third row, what if you got a tow hitch? I wonder if that would all that material would put you over the weight limit, 6,000 pounds. Anyway,
I'll have to look into it.
Roller 20, we've been watching you guys for 2 years. Finally got an EV and
Oh wow, congrats.
specifically a ID4 all-wheel drive. Love it more than any
Mm,
car that I've ever owned, and apparently doesn't do a lot of road trips, which is probably a good thing.
mm,
Actually, it's not. That's not a bad car for a road trip. 250 miles, relatively fast charging, not that bad. Much better than the Bolt.
mm,
Uh, M. Graham 1964 says if you have an enhanced autopilot, it is only $99 a month to try FSD beta.
mm.
I'm trying it out for 1 month.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's
You can
worth
try
probably.
it.
Yeah, it's worth probably $100 just to try it. But I doubt that you're gonna want to keep it for $100 a month after that. Maybe in a year or something that would be something worth it. But right now, it's again you're paying $100 a month to basically like train the system. It makes no sense. I mean, you have to give it to Tesla. Like they convinced 285,000 people to do that,
Including both of us.
Yeah, including ourselves included. Though I don't actually use it. I don't train it that much. But
Yeah,
I
same.
just test it every now and again when
I'm
there's
not
a new
allowed to use
update.
it.
But yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the business moves of
You
the
know what?
century.
Save yourself $99 a
Mm.
month. Go find yourself a 6-year-old. Put him in the driver's seat, and tell him
Give them
drive
no instruction whatsoever.
right,
It's just
and just say, "Let's go to the store." All right. Let's see. The IRS makes no sense. That's true. Sometimes, usually. Nick Cedar question: is there any way to buy a new Bolt without going to a dealer? Oh man, I wish there was. But
not a new one.
yeah, you could probably get one on like Carvana or
But
whatever.
it won't be new though, no?
No, it won't
Carvana is
be new,
on,
but
yeah.
they sometimes like buy a bunch from dealers and just sell them as used,
Uh,
even though they have like 12
yeah.
miles. But yeah, you just gotta plug your nose and
Mm,
go there and try not to get swindled. Yeah, the Jose, we were talking about how the
mm.
ID4 5-seater is under 80,000, possibly because of the weight. Tesla could have offered Model Y for 55,000 K and software cap it, kind of like they did in Canada there, to 100-mile range to qualify for the $7,500 incentive, and then have the rest of the remaining available mileage range as a software upgrade package.
Yeah, I mean, normally I would be against that. Like the way they did it in Canada, I don't think was good. In this case, because the Model Y should be in it anyway, if the ID4 gets it, like the Model Y should get it. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's the $80,000 or whatever is the actual criteria for it. If it's a 6,000 pounds, well, I mean, there's just as much space and utility in a sports utility vehicle ID4 that is in the Model Y. So you should get it. So if Tesla does that, though I'm not so sure it's going to work, but if it, I wouldn't be mad at it at least.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you just like right now, might as well just get the third row. Like
Yeah.
$3,000 third row will save you
hmm
$7,500.
hmm
Do you think Cybertruck will finally start production in 2023? Do you think Model 3 will refresh? Two questions.
Yeah, Model 3 refresh looks extremely likely at this point. The timing of it, I don't know exactly, but extremely likely that's going to happen in 2023. The Cybertruck production, that's the big question. I'm actually personally extremely confident that production will start this year, but it's all about the volume. That's the harder part to predict. Like based on what we're seeing from Tesla installing production, like the taking delivery, we reported last week of a bunch of robots to build it. They have the press that's taking delivery right now, the 9,000 pound pressure press. So based on those, it looks like Tesla is investing right now to make for the production of it. So they should be able to start it, but there's the starting it and getting to 1,000 units per week. Like that's two way different things. So yeah, production should finally start in 2023. Reaching volume production, that's the biggest question. I think that's for next year. I think.
Sounds good. I agree. And yes, volume production will be probably
Mm.
2024. Bolt sales. Okay, back to Bolt.
Mm.
2023, I will guess 77,000 because GM has said they will make 77,000.
Well, I would be a little bit more cautious. That would be probably $70,000, 70,000 units would make more sense. I think. Um, but yeah, that's about right.
Tesla really needs a new CEO, in my humble opinion. Very common theme. All right, our own Mikey G asks, would you say your opinion of Elon Musk and his management has changed recently? If so, do you also reflect on past views in a different way? That's a very general
Yeah,
question.
I did. That's a good point from Mike. It did like, I mean, it did raise some doubts about him in terms of like seeing how he runs Twitter and he just throw
Everything at
things
the
at the
wall.
wall and hoping that it sticks. And it does open the door to the idea. It's like, has he been doing that all along and it's just worked and now it's just not working? Uh, but no, I mean, I think that's an exaggeration saying that. I do think that Twitter is a completely different problem that he's never faced before. That I don't think that he's equipped to do it because it's a Twitter is a salesman's job. Like
Yeah.
we have probably people at it's selling ads. We have people on 9 to 5 that probably are better equipped at running Twitter than not the engineering side of things, obviously, but I mean Twitter has been running somewhat smoothly engineeringly. Like I know that he's kind of he kind of found some problem like or exposed some problem where he was like, oh, in India it sucks. Like in India it takes you minutes to open a page on Twitter. I solved that. I'm like, okay, like I don't know many people in India, and if it made your experience better, I'm happy for it. But in the US, at least, I've seen no difference whatsoever on the actual engineering experience, like how smoothly it runs. So it's more about the business side of things, and the business side of things, Twitter is selling ads. That's their business model. Now subscription, I guess, but that was a flop if there ever was one. The blue thing, I mean, they had to relaunch it like 3 times. So really, at the core of the business is still selling ads at Twitter. And maybe Elon has some ways to change that, but for now it is. And do you see Elon as an ad salesman? No, I don't think that's his expertise at all. I think that he's way too polarizing for that. Um, so yeah, that was my take on that.
All right, Dan Oberst says Tesla deserves to have a CEO who has the company's mission statement on their top 10 3
Yeah,
priorities. Elon has let it slip out of his top 20. I agree.
yeah. That when I was really starting to get concerned is when he said like, my top priority number one right now is the smoke mine virus. Like that's top of my list of concerns for the world right now. That's when I was like, really? If that's in your top 10. And then a lot of other people that I respect too, I've said similar ways too. But I think some like Joe Rogan has been big on that for a long time. Like he said, it being a big concern for him. And I'm like, I was always a bit disagreeing on that. But I think a lot of them are easing up to it a little bit. Like they're like, if you're not online, if you're not like Twitter and all of that, like it doesn't seep in that much into your world, that virus. Like, would it be that great if all virus was the same way? Like they all propagate online, and if you have a nice, like, if you
It's
have
true
a,
enough.
a good hygiene, a good internet hygiene, where you don't throw yourself into dark corners on the web, you don't actually get infected by that virus.
Yeah.
Would that be nice if they were all like that? It wouldn't be a top concern really. Like,
This may not be a great idea, but Roller20 says, I wish Tesla was private so they wouldn't do these insane end and quarter pushes, and also they can develop long term products.
I mean, a lot of people would wish Tesla was private right now, so that the stock price wouldn't be free falling. But the public market until recently has been very good to Tesla. So
Yeah, and what is it up today? I know it was up
it was
yesterday.
basically flat today, but it was way up yesterday. But that was the only time it was way up in the last few weeks.
Right.
It's still
And
way down over the last few months.
and the market's closed tomorrow, or it opens for a little bit tomorrow?
Tomorrow it's Saturday, so it's definitely
Oh,
closed.
yeah, it's close. I was thinking the 31st, but
Yeah.
all right. So that's probably how it's going to end the year.
Oh yeah. All right.
2020.
Well, any prediction on what's gonna be big in the EV market in 2023? Well, what's gonna be the big storylines to follow in 2023? You said.
So again, I'm kind of big on the vehicle to load thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, can the Hyundai put out like real numbers of vehicles? Like they haven't been sending many vehicles to the US, but can they ramp up their production?
Mm.
Volkswagen kind of seems like they're stalling out a little bit. They were really high on getting some big numbers out. Ford wants to put out wants to have a run rate of 600,000 EVs a year by the end of the year. Chevy has the Bolt EV, which they're going to make 77,000 of, but in the spring they're doing Silverado EV. In the summer they're doing the Blazer SS EV, and in the fall they're doing the Equinox. Supposedly $30,000 EV. So there's some competition, but I don't, none of these companies really have the battery bandwidth that
Mm-hmm.
even close to Tesla. Like all of them combined aren't even, I don't know that they can match Tesla. So, I mean, for me, that's the storyline. Does Tesla
Yeah.
continue to be the dominant player?
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that because I think unless the Elon trajectory keeps going that way, and I can see like Tesla having major demand issue next year if it keeps going that. So that's the big if, obviously. Well, I think next year in 2023 it's going to be a big year for models. We're going to have a bunch of new EV models that's going to come to market, but I don't think it's going to be the big year for volume other than Tesla. Again, I think Tesla is still going to be dominant in terms of volumes because a lot of these vehicle programs that you just mentioned are very attractive. Like they look like I know a lot of people would be willing to buy them, but are they going to be able to buy them? That's the big difference. And I don't think next year they're going to be the kind of volume that we need to. The only well, it launched this year. It didn't launch. Um, it's not launching in 2023, but the F-150 is going to be higher volume. But are you sure about that? Said that it's 2023 that they want 600,000? Because
It's
from what
it's
vehicle? Because I know they want to be at 150,000 with the Lightning by the end of next year.
so they wanted at the end of the year to have a run rate of
Yeah,
six. So I think their Q4 2023 they want to have 150,000 vehicles.
150,000 Lightning production capacity for the Lightning by the end of the year. But you said
Lightning,
you said six.
Mach-E.
You said 600,000.
So the run rate, a run rate for the 600,000 per year run rate at the
Yeah.
end of 2023.
150,000 is going to be the Lightning. Out of that, what are going to be the other models?
Well, the Mach-E and the E-Transit. I don't know if they're going to have another model. next
Yeah,
year.
that's
Or
I don't, because the Mackey's not even going to beat
they're gonna
150,000
they're gonna
actually.
sell some MEB platform stuff in Europe,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
but I don't know
This
if
that. Yeah.
that's really that great to brag about.
But yeah, but that's the thing. So even if like maybe a lot of the growth is going to come at the end of the year, and then 2024 is going to be the year of volume, I think, because all of the, especially all of those GM programs that you mentioned with
Right.
the Altium factories coming online, 2024, that's going to be where the volume comes in. So if you're planning some purchase or like to update your vehicle, I would aim for like mid 2024. That's where you're going to have probably a lot more options. But at the same time, I think that 2024 is also going to be the year where a lot of people are going to the few people that are not the few, I shouldn't say the few, but the core group of people that are still say that EVs are not the future and all that, they're going to completely disappear by 2024, I think, and they're all going to switch to like, actually, my next vehicle is going to be an EV, and that's what changes the game. It doesn't need to be 100% of new car purchase be electric just yet. You just need to be people who are like, okay, my next purchase is going to be an EV, and
Hmm.
once that happens, like you have, once that information is out there, you have to kill all your production of gasoline production car, but internal combustion engine. So I don't think necessarily that's gonna, like, I think a lot more people obviously in 2023 are gonna realize that, but I think 2024 is gonna be when like almost all people are realizing it. In most countries, I should say. Obviously, like some countries are don't have the infrastructure yet, and they're not advanced enough into electrification. Like a lot of South America, for example, is not quite there yet. Africa, obviously, some Asian countries, but a lot of Asian countries, like Southeast Asia, like you see some movement recently, but still, like it's still so early that they have to deploy the infrastructure, so it's going to take some time. But yeah, a lot of exciting stuff, people. A lot of exciting stuff into 2023. So hopefully another great year for Electrek and Electrek Podcast too. I hope that you guys are going to keep following us into 2023. We appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that you're going to have a fun and safe new year. I'm going to see you in 20.